Okay, we're going to take a look at how to fix all these black shadows in the scene over here. As you can see, we've got some running along the ceiling, behind the cabinet there. Then on the right hand side, we've got a whole bunch over here, again by the ceiling and by the cabinets. Um, so the first thing I'm going to start off with is taking a look at the modeling file. Alright, so here it is. Okay, now taking a look here, the first thing I notice is the wall height and the ceiling height. Ideally you want your ceiling to meet on the edge of the walls. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the ceiling height, or the wall height as it currently is. To do that, I'm going to use my edit attribute option. I'm going to click on one of the walls, and I can see that's 3 meters high. Okay, now let's see how high this bulk or the ceiling is. So I'm just going to go into my elevation viewport and measure it. But before that, I actually have to set my UCS. So I'm going to quickly just set that by drawing a section line across the room, choosing a side. I'll click here and then clicking in a viewport. And now I can use my dimension tools in my elevation view. Okay, so let's just check that out, and I can see that's 560. Okay, so I'm going to have to drop the ceiling to 2440, so it ends up on the edge of where this piece of ceiling is. Okay, I'm going to drop the walls. So once again, attribute edit, which is this icon here. If you can't find it, just right click anywhere on the grey space, go to room, and choose Yang Fang. Okay, so I click on that, I select the wall, and over here I go edit and I change that to 2440, enter, and there we can see it's dropped down. Now I can copy that to the rest of the walls in the scene to easily shrink them down to the same height as the original wall. Okay, so that's all good. I'm pretty happy with that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to merge this through to the current scene. There's also a little bit of wall here that I want to try fix up because I'm not too happy with this little segment here either. So I'm just going to delete that. Okay. Then I can use the update function, which is this one here, just to fix those two edges up. And now we can use extend, I think, or trim. Let's try extend. So I'm going to select this wall first, right click, select the second wall, and then it neatly joins them up. Okay, so that's all good. So I'm going to go back to my 3D scene. I'm going to reset my radiosity, and I'm just going to go and delete the rest of the walls. So let's just select all of those. I'm holding down shift to do multiple selections. Delete that. And delete, and let's just clean up the side on the right over here. Let's go delete that. Okay, I'll delete this one and delete these two. Alright, so now we've got our walls cleaned up so we can update them. One thing I noticed is the textures on this wall, on these windows, are also tiling a bit, so we want to fix that up. We can go to the material menu and choose fit map, select the surface and right click, scales it 1:1, and then we can just repeat that for the other side. I just press enter on my keyboard to easily repeat the command. And I can also see there's a bit of sky texture appearing on the frame here. So using my material editor, I'm going to select it and go and apply it to that frame. There we go. Okay, so now we can start by merging those walls back in. So we're going to go back to the 3D design or modeling design, and then go to virtuality, export merge, and go select those walls. So let's just select all of these. There we go. And the last two walls here. Okay, it looks like they're all selected. We can right click, choose your target and observer points, and it's going to merge them straight back into the scene. Alright. Alright, so we've got our scene in here. And let's just take a look and see what happens when we do radiosity. See if it's fixed up the shadows at all. So we're just going to click OK and let it run for a bit. Alright, so I'm just going to stop it now. We can only see it's done 4 passes, but normally I wouldn't let it do 4 passes. I would let it run for about 20 or 15 minutes or so. So let's just stop it there. And we can already see how much the shadow problem has reduced itself. Okay, and that's simply by having the edges of the ceiling and wall meet. Okay, and it's actually done quite a nice job of sorting that out. Okay, our problem area is going to be the kitchen. Okay, and the reason for that, so the ceiling seems to be fine. The problem is that we've got all these other things that have popped onto the wall. So you've got cabinets there, splashbacks of the kitchen counters, and then on the left hand side here we've got the whole extractor unit as well as the sink and all of that. So now we're going to use a option called Optimize Surface, which basically rearranges the mesh to fit into any objects that are intersecting it. So let's just take a look at how that works. Okay, so I'm going to just turn off the lights here and then look at optimizing the surfaces. Okay, so I'm going to start with this wall. So we're going to go to Optimize Surface, select the wall, right click, and in a few seconds time it will optimize the surface for us. So let's see what it does with this wall over here. So once again, Optimize Surface. And there we go. So you can see the mesh has rearranged itself. The mesh being the green outlines here, or wireframe. You can see it's sort of lined up with the edges of the wall and cabinets, so that's great. Okay, so we'll move on to this wall. Before I edit this wall, I'm just going to save the files. So let me just save it quick. Okay, don't need to copy any texture files. Right, there it's saved. Now, I always usually save before optimizing surfaces because sometimes an error might occur, and then we can just revert back to the previous version. So let's try optimize surface again. There we go. Hasn't really pulled in these shells, but let's see what happens after we turn on the lights and do it one more time. And there we go. Now, sometimes when you get sharp edges like these angles here, you might get a bit of shadow, so let's just end up seeing what happens. So let's just check our lighting too, so everything should be fine. So let's just turn on radiosity and see what it looks like. So once again, start radiosity. Okay, so I'm going to stop radiosity now. And we can already see how much the scene's improved just by doing those little tweaks. So it was only 21 passes. So let's just take a look and see what's improved. Okay, so you can see the majority of the those little patchy bits have disappeared. And if we were to do the render on high for about 25 minutes or so, we would totally get rid of all these spots. But compared to the original one, this one is looking a lot better. And then also, a few other tweaks is these are just the default grey walls, which will change to white. So let's just apply that and change the colors there. There we go. Yeah, and just check out the render preview. So you can just bring up light adjustment. There we go. And you still just tweak the colors. And then just on the rendering side, one thing I would do is I would drop the sunlight value down. So let's just see what it's set at. 1. I'm going to make this point 0, 2. Okay. Let's see if it's just made an... I don't know if we have to re-render. No, actually 0.02 might be a bit low in this case, so let's just push that up a bit. It's 0.3. That should be fine. And then, yeah, carry on with the rest of the project.